Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Rogue Trader with me, Bragaton. Let's go speak to Lady Cassia.
Words cannot describe how boring the bridge is without our stimulating conversations.
Cassia offers you a reserved smile and waves at you in greeting. Tell me about yourself.
I am a part of House Orselio, an ancient dynasty of the Navis nobility. Since time immemorial, our family has served to advance knowledge, pushing at the boundaries of the dark unknown. The Starway Atlas contains 2,843 routes that chart the sectors of the Segmentum Obscurus and reach all the way from the Coronis Expanse to Holy Terror.
I listen in silence.
And uniting the Imperium's thousands of worlds. House Orselio is bound by commercial pacts to houses Galeatis, Ortina, Drotus, and... There is a dark blue knot tightening on your neck, Lord Captain. I can see my reply is not satisfying your thirst for knowledge. What is it you desire to hear exactly?
Cassia hesitates. Navigators identify so strongly with their house. It must be difficult for you not to be able to lean on your elders. But you have my word that I will look after you.
You will? That would be most appreciated, Lord Captain.
Cassia blinks in surprise and becomes pensive. So you've never lived anywhere other than Yurok 5?
Hardly. According to the chronicles of the house, I was born on one of the Orselio worlds. Oh, what was it? Please forgive me, Lord Captain. My childhood memories are too vague. Sometimes I dream about the colorful birds that built their nests in the garden, or the servants dressed in purple livery, or the blue fog that rolled over the lowlands behind the palace. But everything is covered in a rosy haze. Perhaps it is my imagination, not my memory, that is painting these pictures.
Cassia absentmindedly rubs her temple. Tell me about your life on the station.
My stay on the station was wholly dedicated to preparing me for my future duty. Astromancy, astrography, numerology, the histories of my house and the Imperium, as well as other disciplines. For many years, dozens of instructors tirelessly prepared me for my destiny. And once a year, Great Regent Alronto would come to the station. He would entrust his beautiful vessel to my command, so that I could master the practical aspects of our art as well.
Did you have friends? Somebody you could turn to for a simple conversation, not a discussion of yet another lecture.
The Regent gave me a bird from a sunlit planet once. I tried to befriend it and make it sing, but for some reason, it refused, and died soon after. The instructors were too respectful of my duty to my house to waste precious time on idle chatter. Aside from them, there were only servants on the station, and you know they have their vocal cords removed, so they cannot break their vow of silence.
Cassia blinks in surprise, obviously taken aback by the question.
And since the subject has been breached, Lord Captain, why do you not follow this honored tradition? Your decks are so garish. Apologies, I meant noisy. The rabble don't just chatter. Sometimes they shout and even sing. Why do you allow such a lack of restraint? Rogue traders are highborn, are they not?
A ruler cannot maim people just because it is in his power to do so. On the contrary, it is the duty of every ruler to look after his subjects.
Your words sound amazingly blasphemous. If a ruler's duty dictates the need for violence, would dispensing it not be their responsibility? I will contemplate your answer in solitude.
The old man freezes in confusion. Your third eye, do you always conceal it?
The Navigator's open eye is baneful to whoever the warp's ruinous shine falls upon, and therefore it is the symbol of our power. We are the guiding stars of humanity, found worthy of an uncommon gift, and one of the duties that we bear is to guard our eye, even from wayward glances that may bear evil.
Cassia nods slowly.
Besides, I am aware that lesser servants of the Imperium may find our appearance repulsive. The Navigator gene twists the features the rabble are used to seeing, and the magnificence of our role cannot be grasped by their feeble minds.
Cassia hesitates for a few seconds and looks away. Yeah, I cannot blame them. Navigators are mutants, albeit highborn mutants.
I have no wish to discuss this subject further.
Cassia's face twists in a fleeting grimace. What does it feel like to guide a vessel through the warp?
It may be difficult to describe. You see, every navigator perceives the warp differently. My mentor, Great Regent Elronto, always described his travels through the Immaterium as a journey through a vast wood with countless paths. And I, assisting him in the first voyages, futilely tried to follow his example. But the wood would not reveal itself to me. But everything changed when I found my own key to this mystery. You see, I've always brightened up my rare moments of leisure time by painting. You may recall there was a workshop in my chambers. As soon as I imagined the warp as a blank canvas, an indescribable feeling came over me. I moved the brush, going deeper and deeper into my own painting. Visions were hidden within the vibrant colors of my palette, and something inside me knew which should be brought out and which should be left behind. I woke up several days later, after the voyage was safely complete.
I notice that your love of painting is reflected in your speech as well. You associate so many images with hues and colors.
The Emperor graced me with a gift. I can see inner life in addition to the mundane. You cannot know that a fruit has rotten from the inside until a blade slices it in two. I can see the rot from far away. It roils like swamp mud, oozing through the bright peel. Anger and boredom, sadness and joy. Everything that people shut away inside themselves is revealed to me like colors on the canvas of my world.
Why don't we talk about something else?
You will hear no objection from me, Lord Captain.
Tell me about House Orcelio.
As the only voice of our family on this vessel, it is an honor. As long as your questions are courteous, I will answer every one of them.
I take it House Orcelio has a rich history.
Oh, yes. The navigators of the house came to the Coronis Expanse fairly recently, a mere 208 years ago. Before that, our ancestors expanded the borders of humankind's dominion for the glory of the Emperor, blazing trails to different corners of the galaxy.
Who rules the house?
Just as a rogue trader stands at the head of a protectorate, a Novator heads a navigator house. It is the Novator who decides where to look for alliances and which path their bloodline is destined to tread. As for our house, the transfer of power to a successor is currently underway. In the meantime, Great Regent Elronto Orcelio is ensuring the stability of the house.
The young woman purses her lips slightly. You lived in seclusion on a closed station until Philip committed his sabotage. So then you must be the Novator's successor.
So says Regent Elronto. Nothing is decided yet. Some people in the house become enshrouded in rolling grey clouds at the thought of me becoming the Novator. But even more are bound with dull leaden chains. They think I am not ready for such a burden.
Cassia avoids meeting your eyes. With your permission, I'd like to talk about something else.
By all means.
What does your special sight reveal?
Sister Argenta shines like a guiding star, inspiring resolve in those around her, seemingly inexplicably. However, I see a dark and ugly fog billow behind her, contrasting sharply with her shining light. It burdens the Sister of Battle. It drags her down. Yet Argenta herself is hardly aware of it. Seneschal Viserion is among the few whose colors are a pleasure to look at. Whenever the Seneschal speaks, heavenly crystal clarity spreads around him. And whenever he is angered, dark blue clouds condense over him. And in his rare moments of joy, a pure gleam of sunset pink caresses the souls of those near him. Out of your entire retinue, Lord Captain, he is the only one I would trust with my life.
Cassia's stern gaze grows a little warmer.
Idira's emotions are like a maelstrom, bright, unbridled, enveloping her form like a wondrous kaleidoscope of colors. And as dangerous as a twisting warp storm. The riot of colors hides the truth from my eyes. What exactly is driving this woman? Is it her own will, or is it the Immaterium, Lord Captain?
Cassia hesitates. This is where I must beg my leave.
I have enjoyed your company. Thank you for the conversation. Words cannot describe how boring the bridge is without our stimulating conversations.
Whoops. What does your special sight reveal?
You are engulfed in clouds the color of dark umber. They carry an old pain and doubt.
As if in trance, Cassia reaches for your shoulder with the tips of her fingers. A strange feeling of relief comes over you, as if your lungs have fully opened, allowing you to take a deep breath for the first time in ages. The woman notices your expression and jerks away, frightened.
I beg forgiveness for my inappropriate behavior. When I see such oppressive colors, I immediately want to paint them a different hue, to disperse them. I already mentioned I cannot control it, except this time, I thought I would be able to, for whatever reason.
There's nothing shameful about wanting to help, but you should ask my permission next time.
Absolutely. That is what I will do next time. I have enjoyed...
Alright, let's go respec Argenta real quick. We got a couple profit factor recently. Oh, this one might be free. Yeah. Let's go and get her fixed up. Alright. So instead of Demolition Engineer, we'll probably grab a Solid Projectile Weapon Expert. So Solid Projectile Weapon attacks gain +2 minimum damage. Ballistic Skill. Rapid Reload is pretty good. Muzzle velocity also seems pretty good. So the first hit of each ranged burst attack deals additional damage equal to the weapon's current rate of fire. So I'm guessing rapid fire would also boost. It doubles it, right? Yeah. So I wonder if that actually increases the damage of muzzle velocity. But alright. I think that's all we have to do on this ship. I could trade some more stuff to the Fellowship of the Void, but we can hold off. Lord Captain, sorry to disturb you. Victus pauses as if listening to something. It's pandemonium outside the bridge gate. One of the officers seems to be demanding an audience with you in person. I think I hear Master Versarian's voice. In any case, I wanted to warn you in advance. The everyday sounds of the bridge are disrupted by voices raised in anger. Abelard's voice the loudest of all. This is not the conduct of an officer. These are the antics of a highborn brat out on a lark. Explain yourself, Lieutenant. The young woman standing before Abelard strives with all her might not to quail under the onslaught of her superior's anger. She falters, but then manages to look him in the eye and say, I apologize, sir, but I must speak to the Lord Captain. Very well, Lieutenant. You may address the Lord Captain, not least because I see you have already seen fit to disturb him. Your unauthorized appearance on the bridge and display of belligerence toward a higher-ranking officer will be logged on your personal file without delay. Lord Captain, Lieutenant Avril Vent, requesting permission to speak. Vent falls silent, and then adds rashly, on a matter of extreme importance and urgency. You may speak, but I want to hear a report, not a shouting match. Having two officers bickering in full view of the bridge is unacceptable. I am sorry, Lord Captain. I thought that drastic times called for drastic measures. Vent exclaims hotly. This matter cannot wait. Any minute now, an assault unit will be dispatched to the lower decks on orders to crush the workers' strike by any means necessary. But I am convinced that this step is unwarranted, and that the crisis itself was provoked by the actions of one of the senior officers. Vent is almost trembling with tension as she delivers her speech, her face extremely pale. Abelard, in no hurry to intervene, lets out a skeptical huff. He glances at Sourback, who is standing not far from him, but she maintains a stony expression. Lord Captain, I urge you to investigate the actions of Seneschal Versarion, and to intervene in what's happening on the lower decks, because very soon we'll have a mutiny or a massacre on our hands. Vent reels off the last words as though she knows them by heart. She's clearly been preparing to say them for some time. When she has finished, she casts an anxious glance at Abelard, then at you. There's an insurrection in the making aboard my ship, and no one has informed me. I would not deem it a problem worthy of the rogue trader's attention. The lower decks, as it so happens, are in revolt. 30-some years ago, we even had a revolutionary leader rise up who dared to establish workers' rule across the entire ship. It took a month to restore order, but even 8 years later, we were still battling rumors that the hero had survived his execution and was on the verge of gathering people to fight against tyranny once more. Abelard scoffs. Needless to say, the rumors were baseless. As for the current situation, there are sufficient enforcers to deal with it. But on this ship, the word of the Lord Captain carries more weight than a salvo from 100 bolters. I'm sure that if the rogue trader addresses the malcontents directly, he will quell the unrest. I dread to think what problem you will disturb the rogue trader with next. Perhaps you'll ask the Lord Captain to break up brawls in the mess room. I've already given you the means to resolve this problem. You simply need to use them. If I may, your lordship, sending a hit squad to crush a rebellion is a means of ignoring the problem, not solving it. How did all this start? The situation could boil over at any minute, so I'll give you the condensed version. It all began when the enforcers found a cultist amulet on the body of someone who'd been killed in a drunken brawl. We reported it up the chain immediately, arranged for a cleansing rite to be performed, and opened an investigation. No heretics have been found alive, but the search has brought tensions between enforcers and workers to a head. Where does Seneschal Versarion come into all this? I shall explain, Abelard intones grimly. I beg you to hurry. Time is running out. I will not hurry. Since my competence is under scrutiny, I shall speak for as long as I see fit. There is an established order to the way things are done on this ship, and one of the pillars of that system is that the rogue trader's attention is not distracted by trivial matters. It is the Seneschal's role to ensure that. I've always handled internal problems myself, so of course, when I received information about cultists hiding on the lower decks, I took the matter in hand. So long as I live, not one of the vermin who murdered Theodora von Valancius will find refuge on her ship. You are far too heavy-handed, Seneschal Versarion. Arrests, interrogations, mass punishments for entire sectors. It has driven the people to the brink, Vent says bitterly. Now there's a strike on the lower decks, and Depot 4 to be precise. 3 worker clans are involved, but many more are passively supporting them. The situation could degenerate into an all-out insurrection. But when I reported my concerns, the only response I received was an order to dispatch an assault unit and crush the strike with maximum force. What is Depot 4? Depot 4 is one of the poorest sectors on the lower decks. It is home to clans of general laborers. They're not as valuable to the ship as the families who have served its specialized systems for generations. They are an easily replaceable resource, and one which is now more besides, giving succor to cultists and minions of the archenemy. Depot 4 is poor and troubled, but at worst that means drunken fights and illegal rotgut brewing. We've handled the workers of Depot 4 in the past. We would have done so again if the crackdown on Depot 4 hadn't been so harsh. And another important point to bear in mind, the problem is not limited to this sector. It is located on one of the most populated lower decks, and everything that happens there has a knock-on effect on all the neighboring sectors. Abelard, what do you have to say to all this? I see no need to add anything. I acted within the remit of my authority, guided exclusively by the best interests of your protectorate and your personal safety. If you wish to confirm the rectitude of my actions for yourself, I have no objections. For my part, I urge the Lord Captain to go down to the lower decks, stop the assault unit, and speak directly to the people. You'll see that they are not lying, or harboring heretics. That way, you'll stop the uprising before it begins. A Master-at-Arms, the ship's enforcers report to you, and yet, you seem hesitant to provide your own perspective. Lord Captain, unlike Lieutenant Vent, I respect the chain of command, and realize that it is not within my right to challenge my superiors. Sarback bows her head in Abelard's direction. However, a moment later, a serpentine smile appears on her lips. That being said, while I entirely share Master Versarian's opinion on what fate Depot 4 deserves, I must note that this insubordination is a direct consequence of practices that he himself has introduced. So we'll find out a little bit more about Sourback, her family, and Abelard once we get to our capital world of Dargonis. Mr. Sourback, I see you have decided to follow the Lieutenant's example after all. Such behavior does you no credit. Sourback, explain yourself. The ship's regulations state that the Master-at-Arms is responsible for resolving all matters related to the ship's enforcers. And yet it is no secret that the Seneschal has a tendency to show partiality. Those enforcers and officers whom he has deemed particularly promising are at times given permission to approach him for tutelage. Excuse me. I cannot deny Master Versarian's experience and insight. The Seneschal has a record of fostering students who have indeed achieved much and demonstrated impeccable performance. However, extending such patronage over the head of their immediate superior encourages disregard for hierarchy among your lordship's servants. Today, an enforcer goes to the Seneschal to report an order from the Master-at-Arms that they happen to disagree with. Tomorrow, they will go to the Lord Captain to object to the Seneschal's order. I notice a pattern in these actions. Abelard, do you wish to respond? Mr. Sourback, can you recall an occasion where I would encourage an officer to disobey their superior, or one where I would overrule their order, or show favoritism to those who merited none? None, Seneschal. There have been no such cases in the entire time I have served aboard this ship. If anyone were to claim otherwise, I'd have them pay for insulting your honor with blood. Your conduct in this regard have always been spotless. Nevertheless, given your eminent position, a simple show of attention on your part is enough to erode the propriety of junior officers, inflate their sense of self-importance, and undermine discipline. That you distinguish some of them and know them by name is tantamount to walking around the officer's deck handing out gifts to officers who have caught your eye. It fills those you set apart with ambition and audacity, makes them stand out among the rest. Enforcers are meant to be faceless servants, fighters ready to die. Their fate entrusted by to their commander, and no one else. That is the sole foundation of order. Lieutenant Vent, would you say the Seneschal has singled you out from your peers in any way? Lord Captain, I swear that Seneschal Versarion has never granted me any privileges, never once advocated for me, nor facilitated my promotions. Although, he is the man who convinced me to become an officer in the first place. He has offered me extensive guidance in my service, for which I am grateful to him. And while not all my fellows receive such attention, I know of at least a dozen fine officers whom the Seneschal keeps in his sights to ensure that they continue to strive. To prepare new generations of the Dynasty servants, to instruct them, and to separate those with potential from those who have exhausted it. That is my duty as Seneschal. The ship has bays worth of pilots, enforcers, officers, technicians, and stewards, whom I have raised personally. By the throne, every third person standing on this bridge right now was my student at one point. And there's no harm in that. Leadership should mentor subordinates. I see. Evidently, my officers are anything but a shining example of unity and adherence today. I have only myself to blame, I suppose. I am certain the Seneschal is acting within his authority, but I will verify the soundness of his decisions for myself. Lord preserve you, Lord Captain. I thank you for your support. Abelard grits his teeth slightly, an enterprise bordering on the sophomoric, but please yourself, Lord Captain. However, I categorically insist that I escort you. Lord Captain, I regret that the enforcers were unable to handle the situation, which then led to your and the Seneschal's involvement. I consider it my duty to go to Depot 4 myself, and see to the expedient resolution of this incident. Hey, it's Versarion. Take that, scum. Look who it is. This is all his fault. All of it. Abelard reflexively wipes the sweat from his brow, in a startlingly human gesture, and a telling one. A rare moment where he allows his age and wariness to show through his armor-like veneer of self-assurance. The lower decks are a source of endless problems. Sometimes I dearly regret that we cannot replace all the locals with servitors. People dare to disrespect a senior officer. They would not have the chance to express such disrespect if we were not here, and if the situation had been dealt with by the relevant officers. Abelard grimaces. It is the junior officer's worst failing, to pass problems up the chain of command. I have never been able to abide it. I shall say it again. It was a mistake to come here on Lieutenant Vent's whim, Lord Captain. I must admit that the lieutenant is by no means the worst material for an officer, Abelard adds peevishly. But in the name of Terra, the girl is the same age as my eldest great-granddaughter. And she has the gall to tell me how to manage the lower decks and hunt down cultists. It'll be another 20 years at least before she can be trusted to act without oversight. Did you hear? They were shouting your name. Of course they were. The organization of the daily, routine life of the ship rests upon my shoulders. The mountain of challenges and problems from which I endeavor to insulate you, Lord Captain. The situation of the lower decks has been a cause for concern, and I've intervened personally on more than one occasion. That must be why they remember me. They do not know your face. To them, you're akin to a creature of legend, one who has stood on the steps of the Golden Throne, no less. Whereas I am the man whose name is attached to every order docking rations or lowering a bay's heating. Let's keep moving. We need to get to the bottom of this. Something resembling a nest made out of thermal insulation material. This must be where the workers sleep between shifts.
Let us not dawdle.
I still do not see our purpose in coming here.
Relax, old man. Going for a stroll on the lower decks every once in a while is good for you. Lets you see how the simple folk live.
Huge pipes, the arteries of the ship, run through many bays, delivering air, water, heat, the propulsive force of steam. Greetings, Your Grace. Graces.
Is there money to be made?
Attention to detail is the key to success.
A container can be seen beyond the massive bars. Perhaps examining the pipe will allow you to reach it. I think this is the valve puzzle, right? Inside the box, a string of scratched letters runs along the edge. Different first names, but the same surname. It looks like this box has been passed down in the family from generation to generation.
I always have a backup plan.
Yeah, some of these valves are tied to a puzzle. We'll solve that after we deal with the main event down here. But I do think I'm going to call it here, and then next time we'll deal with the Insurrection. But for now, thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one.